Hi everybody, it's Sigrid here again. Here we go with another video where I want to explore the awakening process, but in the context of where I see parenting moving. So it's my passion to talk about how we wake up as individuals and how that impacts the world we live in, especially our lives and especially our kids. So for me, there is nothing more inspiring to me than my children. They have helped me wake up to love on a level that I never knew existed. So our children are catalysts to our own awakening, to our own waking up to who we really are. They force us, if we're willing, if we're open, to see where we are compromising ourselves, where we are living a lie, where we are not. I mean, my children literally have the capacity to tell me what they need, and when we listen to our children, it not only enables us to see clearly our own reality, because we often get embroiled in our own egoic interpretation of life and our own, as I talked in our last video about our own identity, as this limited separate human where it's all about suffering and struggle and safety and getting and keeping and all that. And it impacts our kids because we place an enormous amount of expectation on our kids being something for us. So, and that leads to damage, actually, not permanent damage. It's not, nothing in this life is permanent. I've had to work through a significant amount of guilt. And I think all parents do when they enter an awakening, a conscious awakening journey. We're all awakening, but not all of us know it. Where we have to really take stock and take ownership over what we have done, quote unquote, wrong. Or I hate the word wrong because it's not about wrong. It's about how we show up when we're unconscious, when we're asleep. But yet I also believe that all those things serve us. All of the things that happen. I have this deep-seated belief that everything in this world is for me. Everything I experience from the moment of birth to the end of days, everything is here to further my knowing of who I truly am, and knowing this, living this life where I have this beautiful marriage between my human and my divine self. And so our kids are catalysts on that because they're closer to that in many ways than we are. They have less time in the realm of conditioning, and yet they're full-fledged in it as well. It's just that the kids that are born today have an uncanny ability, way more than I did as a kid, to see truth, to speak truth. And when we give our children the space to be heard in that way, to be seen for their truth, for the breaking down of illusions, where we can actually meet them in that space of honesty without trying to escape, without trying to make excuses, to run away from it. When our kids are actually held as valuable, respected, whole, complete humans that don't need our fixing, that don't need our standards of expectation. We don't need to mold them into some sort of acceptable human being. We need to meet them where they are, in space, in the space of love and unconditional acceptance. So what I feel is happening, I call it the renaissance of human connection, where I feel that our children are forcing us through their behavior. Not often are they able to communicate their needs and their distress in concrete words, in articulation, they show up in their behavior. So this is a chance for you to really notice, what is your child saying to you without words, and what maybe is she saying or he saying in words, and how are you listening or how are you not listening? And to actually take time to get curious about what your children are saying through their behavior, either nonverbal or verbally. Because what is happening is that many parents are stopping and they're getting curious about this. They're getting curious about their kids. And they are understanding that being a human being, relying on your mind, on your doing, on your knowing how to navigate your life isn't enough, because it is not creative. It's not a creative space. Picking up a book and doing what the book says. I did that when I was a kid. I mean, when I was an early mom, I picked up books around routine and how to get my child to sleep. We did the crying out thing, which was, for my daughter, massively traumatic. I didn't trust my intuition. I was severed from my intuition as a mother. I was severed because I wasn't born into a culture that cultivated a belief in me, and that my voice mattered, and that my knowing mattered. That's just the reality of it. So we go through a lot of turbulence to get to that point where we're reconnected with our voice. And so the collapse must happen. There's a collapse of who we are not that must happen. Our children are a deep, deep part of us seeing clearly. So the way I see parenting looking and feeling in the future, I love this. I love this. I love where we are moving into. And it's going to take a significant amount of courage and honesty and transparency, and a painful, perhaps, process of processing who you're not, meeting those unmet wounds, seeing where you are not meeting your own needs, where you are bending in your integrity, in your authenticity, where you have put everyone else ahead of yourself, because that's what we're taught in this patriarchal society, that everyone else's needs are before yours. You come last, okay? And I'm not saying shove everybody under the bus, but we have to prioritize our own being, our own beingness. How can you contribute with your light, your beingness, if you don't take it seriously, if you don't explore your inner world? So what I see happening is that parents are consciously going through, especially mothers, consciously going through this process and coming out the other side. What does that look like? I'm just going to speak from my own experience, from my own excitement, because I'm very, very excited. I don't think that my job as a mom is about fixing my kids. What's been coming up recently is my children, and this is typical, this is of course typical, but especially my 10-year-old, soon to be 11, really, really saying, I don't need you. I don't need your advice. I don't need your words, I don't need your involvement. This is what I don't need. Like, I need you to see me, that I am not a victim, that I am whole and I am capable and I am wise and I know. So I think one of the things that is so fundamental in this new renaissance of human connection, God, I love that. Parenting in a new renaissance where connection is the top, is the very, the biggest priority that we have is our ability to connect with our kids. And we understand that is where love is experienced. We all know, I've asked many mothers, how they feel about their children, that do you love them? Like, how does love look like? And everybody will, not one parent, not one mom would say they didn't love their children, but do your children experience your love? And what is love? Is it not presence? Is it not full acceptance? Is it not a level of empowerment? Is it not space? Space. I think space is like alpha omega here, is to be able to experience space with ourselves, experience that we are space, that our human experience happens within space, within the space of life, unforced, unmanipulated, unjudged, that we experience that in our own lives, and then we take that into our experience as motherhood, where oh, wait a minute, hold on, I read a quote the other day. I just want to find it. I know it's here, I know exactly where it is, so give me 2 seconds. Rita, my buddy Rita, who I'm gonna have on. I'm doing a series, Conscious Conversations, and I want Rita on. She wrote something so fabulous the other day. Hold on. What did she say? Now I'm. Oh goodness, I can't find it. I can't find it. Anyway, that derailed me a tiny bit. Okay, so and I'll post it. I will find it and post it down here. I just don't want you guys to wait around for me here. Human connection. This is really the essence of the new paradigm for parents, where we know that we experience, not just know, but we experience that our beingness, not what we're doing, not what we think we know, not our arrogance, not our superiority, not our authority, but our beingness has the most impact on our children. Most impact. How are you being? Are you being afraid? I mean, is your beingness vibrating waves of fear, of anxiety, let me just say, that isn't bad. It's not bad to be anxious or afraid. It's the not taking responsibility, not maturing to a level that says, okay, I may be feeling these things, but they're not who I am. They're not who I am. I'm going to allow them to be here. Let them have space to be here. This is compassion and love for ourselves. This is the essence of self-love. To give ourselves space to experience what we're experiencing, even if that feels bad. And take responsibility for that. Show our children what it means to self-love, to take responsibility for our own waves, to not lash out at others because we feel bad. This is the essence of bullying, within our families and in our schools. When we don't realize that we feel, of course, children don't often have the capability to process their emotions. They deeply identify with what they feel. But it's our responsibility to set the stage for this throughout their lives by embodying it ourselves. Deep connection with our children begins with a deep connection with ourself. We cannot love, we cannot feel compassion, we cannot help, we cannot guide our children unless we are doing that for ourselves. Embodying a spiritual and emotional maturity that allows the light of our being to be the thing that guides our children into connection with their beingness. It's a fantastic time to be alive. It's a fantastic time to be blinded by the sun. A mother, I really feel. So this is just what I had for you today. I hope it inspires. It certainly inspires me. And we'll be talking more and more about this as the weeks progress. Take care. I'm going to go out in the sun. All right.